Hey all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we are commenting on another BCP video. This is called AOC Humiliated while struggling to explain herself after getting roasted for dumbest interview ever. This was uploaded May 8th. This is being recorded May 9th, and link is in the description.
Of wealth and accumulation that is unearned. Of wealth
Nope, that's
and
just where it starts.
accumulation
Okay.
that is unearned, right? You can't earn $1 billion.
No.
Dollars.
That's
That's right.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
You can get market power, you can break rules, you can do all sorts of things. You can abuse labor laws,
Yep.
you can pay people less than what they're worth.
Yep.
But you can't earn that, right?
That's
And
right.
so you have to create a myth that since you didn't earn that, you have to create a myth of earning it.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So we got to talk about AOC once again humiliating herself because she said something really.
I don't think that every single American aspires to be a billionaire. I don't think it's a universal American ideal. Then what is the universal American ideal? To be a nurse and help sick people all day? What is the point? To be a caregiver and to give care all day? What is the American ideal? You say the American dream is dead. Okay, well what has it been replaced by? Narcissism and
stupid
nothing?
in an attempt to sound smart because she's thinking about running for president in 2028. Okay, and AOC had
see, I didn't want to say anything last video. I didn't want to, overstate anything. But so AOC is a 7th.
been testing herself with public speaking, public interviews, public events. Like, for example,
I mean, it really just goes to show that there is no unity in the Democrat Party. They should all just run. Every single one of them. Why not?
participated in a conference.
Bernie
in New
should
York
run
recently,
again.
in which she said something really stupid when
Why not?
confronted about what the U.S. policy would be if Taiwan was attacked by China. She clearly was not prepared, even though, again, she was there to talk about foreign policy, right? But outside of her Marxist talking points, she really didn't bring much to the conversation. She had
What does she know about the issues? What does AOC know about current geopolitical conflicts or the current geopolitical landscape of the map?
articulated her Trump derangement and her Marxist worldview. That's about it. Okay, anything outside of that, anything deeper than that, her canned talking points, she didn't do very good. Okay, and she sounded incredibly stupid at times.
And this is the
once
problem, is you can sit here and say, oh, Donald Trump doesn't do that either. Fine, okay. But so, she isn't better than he is. She is just as bad as he is. When it comes to major issues, she has nothing. There's a wall and there's nothing.
And AOC is saying very stupid things in interviews. She's currently getting roasted for the latest stupid thing that she said, which is that billionaires did not earn their wealth. Okay, basically what she's saying is that billionaires are illegitimate.
The left's war on success taking another turn this week when Democratic Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio.
See, like Jeff Bezos and Amazon started off as just a simple online business, online retailer. Like, no, they did. As they got more money, like, he didn't just spend that money on mansions and on himself. He spent it on more warehouses. He spent it on delivery trucks. He spent it on infrastructure and making his business better. The reason that he has as much money as he does is because a lot of that money was sunk back into the business.
Ocasio-Cortez had this to say about billionaires.
Excuse me. I'm
I
here for
mean,
the senior
I don't
intern
understand
program.
how you can
senior
say
intern.
that
You can't-
Americans don't want to be billionaires, but then have constituents in New York say that the reason that they voted for Mamdani is because they're all going to get Lamborghinis. One of these things is... Just spent the whole last video talking about this. One of these things cannot be right. You cannot think that people don't expect to be ludicrously wealthy, and then have the people say, no, we expect that we're going to be ludicrously wealthy. Where people don't want to be billionaires, they just want to hoard and grow generational wealth. What do you think that means, AOC? That means getting billions. That means potentially someday, if you pass on enough of your wealth, if you hoard enough of your possessions, you'll eventually be a billionaire. This is nonsense talk. People in California yelling about where the money is.
Earn $1 billion.
That's right.
You just can't earn that.
That's exactly correct.
You can get market power, you can break rules, you can do all
What is... Do you know, AOC? I have no idea. What is Jeff Bezos's annual salary? How much does he pay himself? Do you know? I have no idea. I have no clue.
sorts of things. You can abuse
And
labor.
that's just from Amazon as a business. That doesn't include investments. That doesn't include... Because you can own those investments. You can own those things. The one thing that he has, his businesses, that you don't own, how much does he actually make from those businesses? I mean, maybe it's a
You can
substantial
pay people less than what
amount.
they're
I have no
worth,
idea.
But you can't earn that, right? Since you didn't earn that, you have to create a myth of earning it.
Fox Business host Cheryl Casoni here with reaction to AOC's comments. Cheryl.
See, but this is what an echo chamber looks like, is the other person just sits there and just mindlessly nods. Where's the pushback?
You got to be kidding me. You didn't earn it. Right. Tell that to Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos, people that started businesses out of their dorm rooms, who built their businesses up from nothing. Ask Mark Cuban that question. But anyway, I digress. Because
I mean, like Mark Zuckerberg, I believe the Fed, maybe it isn't the Fed, maybe it's a state court, are currently suing him because of his website, because of the thing that he made. You are having to regulate him because of how much power he has as an individual.
Washington Post
Simply for owning a
editorial board
business.
has a much better response to this interview than I do. Here's what they said. You can earn $1 billion, adding, quote, does she think the FBI should investigate Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker or Tom Steyer, the Democratic candidate for California governor? What about Democratic mega donor Alex Soros, a big fan of Ocasio-Cortez's, to say that it's impossible to legitimately earn $1 billion is to put an arbitrary limit on human potential, and presuming that anyone who becomes too successful must be cheating shows a lack of imagination as to what humans are capable of accomplishing in a free society.
Well, it really just goes to show what socialism looks like to her is no one lives like a king, and everyone lives in squalor together. The billionaires, the poor people, the homeless people, the drug addicts, they're indistinguishable. That's what she wants.
The editorial board, guys, also, I love this one. In what ways does Ocasio-Cortez believe that Taylor Swift, Michael Jordan, Jerry Seinfeld, Oprah Winfrey, or Beyonce, billionaires, all of them broke the rules to accumulate their wealth. I thought that was a very good quote
Yeah,
from
put
the
an underlined
editorial.
under that one. I did as well.
How did Seinfeld break the rules?
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. Like,
Yeah.
what did Jerry do?
Exactly, guys. And so, this attack on the wealth, I mean,
Or
first off,
to think that Jerry Seinfeld didn't do anything to accumulate his wealth. Like, he didn't have a TV show. Like, he hasn't been a comedian the whole time. Like, of course he's done things. This.
I'm wondering if she's been hanging around with Bernie Sanders just a little too long. But
I'm
if they all
supposed
have
to
the same-
support someone like, what's her name in the WNBA? Angel Reese. I'm supposed to support her getting paid billions of dollars to want to be paid, to like increase her pay so that she's paid billions of dollars to be paid as sport. But Jerry Seinfeld didn't do anything to earn his wealth. I just...
tagline, tax the rich, fair share, which we know is not true. The rich pay more than their fair share of taxes. But what we're seeing now is we've been talking a lot this week, the three of us have, about people leaving New York City, going to Florida, this whole Ken Griffin, Zora Mondami drama. Well, there's this now brand new report that uses IRS data. Nearly $2 trillion in wealth has left blue states for red states from 2012 to 2023. New York, yep, congratulations. $660 billion you have lost. California, $503 billion. Red states like Florida bringing in over $1 trillion. I think that's a great Friday way to sum up the week that the three of us have had on this program.
Yeah.
Well, and really just goes to show that, yes, you can make that much money.
About the ridiculous
It's the value of
policies
your
that we're
dollar.
seeing.
And when it comes
And
to
how
the,
much you've
Cheryl, when it comes to the
inflated
Washington
it.
Post article, we do have to leave it here, but I just want to say that one of my favorite lines was that they pointed out that during this interview with AOC, the host, Alana Glazer, it says the anti-capitalist interview was interrupted by Alana Glazer reading an ad for the shoe company Stuart Weitzman, who sells shoes for about $500 a pair. So the irony of all ironies. What a piece. Cheryl, thank you so much for bringing it to us. Don't miss Cheryl on Mornings with
Have a
Maria.
great
to see
weekend,
you.
Cassoni.
Yeah. So despite the fact that AOC is getting roasted for this stupid take that is grounded in Marxism, okay, and this stuff only sounds good to Marxists, right? This is why everybody else is like, what is she saying, right? Like, why does she sound so stupid? She doubles and triple downs on the stupidity in ways that makes her sound not only just stupid, but historically
Because, like,
illiterate.
I mean, I suppose it's not wrong, right? If you're going to make the argument that people choose to be homeless, then no. Those are people who choose not to be billionaires. But at the same time, you also then have to acknowledge that just throwing money into low-income housing doesn't solve homelessness. You can't solve homelessness in the same way that you can't solve billionaires. Some people want to have that much power and that much influence. Some people don't.
Well, too, as she basically tries to connect
But
her
if that's
Marxism-
true, then why do you want a system that basically treats everyone the same, that gives them all the same fundamental treatment?
with the founding of the country, and
I mean,
it does not go very
arguably it doesn't.
well during this interview with David Axelrod, in which, again, she's going to be asked about her comments and Marx's worldview on billionaires. So without further ado, let's get into it.
And first of all, I mean, call me crazy, but I don't think that every single American aspires to be a billionaire. I think that our idea of success,
They might not object, but they may
not object, but I don't think it's the universal American ideal. I think our ideal of success is to be
They wouldn't say no to being billionaires, but they wouldn't ever do the work to actually put themselves there. They wouldn't actually aspire to it. It's not an ideal.
able to
Wow.
work an honest job.
You're right.
And
Some people want to be below the poverty line, wondering where the next meal is going to come from, completely dependent on the system because they don't make enough.
sustain yourself.
Obviously.
And support your kids and go on vacation.
See, They
You know,
support
once or
homelessness. They support people living in tents on the side of the road.
twice a year and have some money in your pocket and be part of a community
Yeah,
and
be
have
part
your
of the homeless
community and your
community.
town
You can support each
be
other.
safe and thrive
Yeah.
and to be part of something bigger than ourselves. And the second point on this
Yeah. So none of that.
So they aspire to be a community, which is presumably so that they can pool their wealth, be like a collective billionaire class, but they don't want to be billionaires.
In my opinion, right, is in opposition to the existence of billionaires, right? Like,
Well, yeah,
what she's basically
because
arguing,
like Mamdani in New York wants to get rid of land ownership, doesn't want landlords. Okay, well, part of wealth is owning things. If you can't own your property, then you have no wealth. You have material goods that you have to produce so that the whole can function. There is no incentive, there's no incentive, there's no reward. You get nothing for it. You're expected to just toil. You're expected to just do.
here is that the existence of billionaires somehow is antithetical to all those things she just outlined, right? The ability to have community bonds, to have a good job, to have safe communities, to raise a family. The existence of billionaires does not make all those things impossible. In fact, the existence of billionaires, aka capitalism, right, allowing for billionaires to exist is why we have those things, and our standard of living is much higher than the rest of the world, right? Even the socialist countries that AOC
See, but
wants to.
she says not every American wants a high standard of living. Some people choose to live in squalor. Some people choose to live in the bush. Like,
To turn us into, right? The reason why is because we allow billionaires to create products and services that improve our lives. The reason why is because we're able to fund our social safety nets due to billionaires creating jobs, opportunities, generating revenue, capital markets that help fund the government, that can pay for public safety, that can pay for social services, right? All the things that AOC claims that she wants, right? The existence of billionaires is not antithetical to anything that AOC just said, but that's the way that she's framing this, right? Furthermore, on top of that, no, every single American does not aspire to be a billionaire, but that's different than the question about whether or not billionaires should be allowed, right? Just because I don't want to be a billionaire doesn't mean that I don't think that billionaires should exist. Those are two different things. So it's just so funny to me how AOC, she's trying so hard to sound smart, but she just ends up sounding really, really, really dumb when you break down what she's saying, because she's trying to sound smarter than she is, right? A great test of intelligence for yourself personally, right, is whether or not you understand how smart you are, right? Somebody who understands their own intelligence is not going to try to sound or to try to be smarter than they are, right? They're going to acknowledge, hey, this is how smart I am. I'm going to stay in my lane, right? And that ultimately is beneficial, right? Those are the smartest people. The smartest people are the people who actually understand their own intelligence, right? Because you'll have people who are not that smart, but because they think they're smarter than they are, they end up making a lot of dumb decisions and doing a lot of dumb things. But if you're dumb and you know you're dumb, then you'll probably end up making a lot of smart decisions because you know that you're dumb, right? You know to stay in your lane. Hey, this is something I shouldn't be doing, right? Let me not try to do stuff that I'm not smart enough to do, right? I don't have enough knowledge to do, right?
see, but no, because if you need that knowledge for whatever reason, then you're not going to have it. And if you're too dumb, then other people are going to take advantage of you for needing to do that thing.
Avoid making bad decisions, right? Or really dumb decisions by understanding how dumb you are. If AOC understood that she was dumb, then she would have made the smart decision of avoiding doing this type of live interview.
Is that I want to talk about how this is in the heritage of our country. Because America was founded. You look at Thomas Jefferson,
I mean, like,
right?
again, right? Like, the question of generational wealth. You want to sit here and say that Donald Trump was handed everything that he has now. All of his wealth, all of his assets, everything that he has. He hasn't had to work for any of it. He happened to gain it all after his parents passed away or left it to him somehow. Okay, well, that is the whole idea behind generational wealth, is you take all of your things so that your children, the people who come after you, can start with that leg up. So you criticize him for his generational wealth, but then say that you want to build your own generational wealth. If you believe this, then yes, you aspire to be a billionaire. And if that's true, then I think that a lot more Americans would aspire to be billionaires than not.
To Madison.
What, at the end of the day, what does it even mean, right? If I had $1 billion, like, if I had just $1 billion, like, I don't know, how much would I actually, like, participate? What would you, like...
In revolt of British aristocracy. The American Revolution was against the billionaires of their time. And we are declaring independence from such an extreme...
That's not what it was about.
...marriage of wealth and power and the state, that the voices of...
So... And yet you would gladly draw a map for a state that massively restricts its political power. Just...
everyday people did not exist. Now, of course, in that construction, you had slavery, you had, women who were also not full people in the eyes of the law. But since then, as well, it was the organizing of Black Americans that turned America into a full democracy.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yep. So Lincoln was a racist. There were no white people who actually helped free. In fact, it was the black armies during the Civil War that actually won their freedom against the slave-owning South. Obviously,
this is exactly what I'm talking
white people
about.
didn't do anything.
She's so dumb that she doesn't know how dumb she is.
No.
If AOC was...
This is all true. This is all historically accurate. That the North did nothing and basically sat there while the black people freed themselves.
Actually intelligent, she would not be doing this, right? AOC would understand, like, this is not her strong suit, right? Like, if I was advising AOC, I would say, look, AOC, stick to scripted social media content, right? Off the cuff, speaking is not you because you don't know anything, right? And you know this because anybody who knows even the basics about the founding of this country...
Again, people are allowed to get on the internet and say that the earth is flat. Say the earth is flat, say that it is morally correct to not have children.
American Revolution understands just how stupid and historically inaccurate what AOC just said was. Because, again, she's trying to examine history through a Marxist worldview, and because she only can look at it through the lenses of Marxism, she just gets things wrong, right? It's so bad. Like, for example, she basically tries to frame the American Revolution or the motivations of the founders as, well, they were going after the billionaires, right? They were trying to overthrow the billionaires, okay? The problem is that the American Revolution was not about wealth inequality. It was about taxation without representation, which is different than wealth inequality. Those are not the same things, okay? Also, on top of that, the founders were the wealthy elite, right? So this was not a proletariat versus bourgeoisie conflict.
Well,
It was not a
see,
Marxist
no,
conflict.
because it's the amassed power of the proletariat. Like, basically, the proletariat elect their own bourgeoisie to replace the old one, with the idea being that the new one is actually going to respect the proletariat and what they want better than the old regime did. It's basically just replacing the power structure with a different power structure, in the hopes that the power structure will actually benefit the people, which it usually doesn't, because they usually just want power.
The American Revolution was actually led by the wealthy class, right? I don't know if AOC understands this. I don't know if she knows, but the founders were wealthy. George Washington, James Madison, Thomas Jefferson, John Hancock, they were all wealthy. Washington owned a lot of land. John Hancock, he was a merchant. Thomas Jefferson owned a lot of slaves. Does AOC understand that the American Revolution, again, was led by what would be considered to be the billionaires, right? The wealthy of that time period, right? Clearly, she doesn't understand that. Also, on top of that, King George was not a billionaire. He was a sovereign, right? That's a different type of power. The American Revolution was not about overthrowing a capitalist system. It was about overthrowing a monarchy, right? A king that ruled by divine right, okay? Not because they were wealthy, okay? King George did not have...
Also, arguably, the problem was that we were European, is that the US was European colonies, but we were literally the entire ocean away on boats that relied on sails and the wind and navigated via the stars. Things got lost. It took weeks, if not months, to actually get there. So if you had some law that didn't make any sense and you needed to get it repealed or replaced or something, you couldn't just do that in your local settlement. You had to go, send a letter, wait 6 months, have them read it, have them send a reply, wait 6 months, have them say, no, you can't do it unless you do this, 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 and this. There's no representation. It takes too long.
Power because of wealth. He had power because of divine...
They were paying taxes to a system that was too slow, that was too inefficient, and that was leading to problems.
Right. That is what the founders were fighting against. That is what they were fighting. It wasn't Marxist, right? It just that had nothing to do with Marxism. In fact, they were not Marxist at all. You know, the whole life, liberty, property thing, you know, John Locke, you know, the core underlining ideology that drove the revolution, you know, that part of it, AOC, that's not Marxist, right? It's just so bad. It's so bad. It's so terrible. It's like, again, even a basic understanding of the American Revolution, the motivations behind it, the core underlining ideology, who the founders were, like, this is just so wrong, right? It's just so, like, it's terrible. Absolutely terrible. But these are the people who tell you that they're educated, right? This is the educated Democrat, right? According to the leftists, the liberals, they want you to be convinced because they went to college and got a degree that they're educated and they're smarter than conservatives. But this is what a degree produces. This is what a college degree produces in 2026, which is why a vast majority of them aren't worth toilet paper, right? They're not. Because this is what you get. This is stuff that she should have learned in middle school, high school, and should have known off the top of her head. Okay, this don't make sense. The American Revolution was not Marxist. Let me stop trying to put a Marxist lens on the American Revolution. I'm going to sound dumb, right? But for them, every conflict, literally every conflict, boils down to oppressed versus oppressor. That's it. They can't view the world through any other lens except that. And that's why she's saying what she's saying. And here's the crazy part. She didn't make that up. She didn't come up with that herself. Somebody told her that, right? And she has a really, really, really hard time.
I don't know. Where did she get it? If she got it in college. See, I thought she was a bartender. Does she have college experience? Is she college educated? She might be, I don't know. If she was college educated, if she learned it in college, where did she learn it from? What university taught her that?
Articulating it in a way that makes sense, that's coherent, because there's nothing coherent about this.
Who was her
It's just
professor? Who taught her at that?
Misunderstanding of our history. It just is. She just sounds really dumb to somebody with even a basic education on history and the founding of this country. But again, we parade people like her around as if she's some type of intellectual. She's not.
Well,
That's what Democrats do.
Even this idea that not every single American aspires to be a billionaire. Every American aspires to not have to struggle to pay their bills, right? So, at the very least, they want to be better off, if not be billionaires. But so, where is the ceiling to that?
That is
Is
right?
there
It's
one?
like, why is this woman in Congress? She should not be in Congress. This is insane. She's in over her skis. But with that being said, I hope she runs for president, right? I want to see AOC on a debate stage because of stuff like this. This is why we need her. We need her.
She probably
to
will.
Run. We need to encourage AOC.
I don't see why not.
Because this needs to be exposed to the world.
See, I do, though, because they rigged it last time to where Joe Biden didn't even have to be on the debate stage until they already decided that Joe Biden was the candidate, and he had to square off against Trump that first time. So,
She is
I don't
not
know.
ready for prime time. She is not. I'm telling you. She is not ready. This is so bad.
In the 1960s and well before that,
Oh yeah, let's not forget she claims that black people are the reason why we got full democracy in this country. Now, what would be AOC's definition of full democracy? I don't know, because she claims that we live in a fascist system right now, right? And that black Americans' voting rights are under attack, right? They're telling us every single day that black people.
see, but like, the Supreme Court said the other day that racism is gone, that we eliminated all of it. You're just getting it from the other side. No, racism is gone. Racism is gone. We just have a country that's full of the leftover bigots that we need to deal with somehow.
Voting rights, but she's also claiming that black people helped us achieve full democracy, and for that to be able to happen, then she has to acknowledge that the foundational framework of the country was correct, right? Which is also something that she probably would be hesitant to acknowledge because it goes against her Marxist worldview. But more so than that, we don't live in a full democracy. So AOC is just wrong, right? We're not a full democracy, which, by the way, the founders were terrified of. They didn't want us to live in a full democracy. They observed what happened in Athens, Rome. They didn't like pure democracy. They did not want the United States to be a full democracy. In fact, Madison wrote, he said specifically that pure democracies have ever been spectacles of turbulence.
Like, you're going to sit here and say that men shouldn't have a say in abortion because they can't get pregnant. Okay, why should non-billionaires be able to legislate billionaires? Should the billionaires then not be able to legislate the homeless people? Should they not be able to direct where their money goes, considering they're being forced to pay for whatever services the government, the state, thinks that these homeless people need?
And contention, and that they are incompatible with personal security and property rights. And again, that's the irony of AOC trying to frame the founders as Marxist revolutionaries. But it's like, they weren't Marxist revolutionaries, and they also weren't pro-full democracy.
But see, this is what they do. They just spin whatever, and they assume that you're dumb and you're uneducated, and you just agree with what she said, what she says.
Any of the things that AOC believes in right now, right? AOC is literally antithetical to what the founders believed in, but she's trying to pretend like the founders were Marxists. Again, this is so incoherent. It's so bad.
No, she's trying to rewrite history so that the founders actually believe her opinion instead of what they actually believed.
Right? I just can't believe it.
Which was individual determination, and
that she actually said this, that people in her
self-actualization
are not telling her, look, this is not for you. You should not do these type of public speaking events. This is just not your strong suit, right? We got to keep everything scripted with you, because if you go off script, you sound like an idiot, right? Like, this is basic civics, right? AOC does not understand history, and she doesn't understand civics. This is a college education.
Most of them don't.
Liberal folks.
With the Voting
Maybe
Rights
not most
Act.
of them.
And so it's actually the most American thing in the world for us to be fighting for the working class. And it's actually patently un-American.
Actually, that's what the Nazis said that they were going to do. So either you have to admit that you're a Nazi, AOC, or you probably shouldn't say that.
American, to try to aspire to transform our country into a place of kings and landed gentry, which is what we should never
That's not what we
aspire to
are.
progress to.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what Jefferson was thinking about that when he was sitting at Monticello writing
That's
those
right.
words, but
That's right.
Just
yeah. So
what was he thinking? He was thinking, I want to protect my land. I want to be able to have agency and authority over my own home, and not have to give up some of that authority to a monarch all the way across the ocean.
I don't know if you caught what David Axelrod said in response to AOC, and this just proves how stupid she is. He basically said, yeah, I don't know if that is what Thomas Jefferson was thinking when he was writing. I'm not sure if that's exactly what he believed. I'm not sure if he was a Marxist revolutionary.
Oh, was that what he said? Because to me, it kind of sounded like he was agreeing with her. Like, I have no idea what he was thinking. I don't know how such a brilliant man of his day could believe something so backward and so untoward.
Revolutionary. And AOC is sitting here nodding along, right.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, AOC, he's basically saying that you're an idiot, right? That's what he's basically saying in a very nice way. Like, I don't know about that. That don't sound correct, okay? But we're gonna move on. We're not going to focus too heavily on whether or not your comparison is actually accurate here, or whether or not you know what you're talking about. But we'll keep it moving. We're really
when your answer is nonsense, word salad, garbage, what else is there to do but just move on? Say, well, I don't know what you said, but we're just going to go with it.
Congress. I'm sorry. Like, she's not qualified. Like, she doesn't know anything. It's like, if you're going to have these type of conversations and you're going to say something like that, right, then you need to know what you're talking about, right? You need to know. AOC doesn't. And it's bad. It's really bad. It's sad because, again, anybody with a basic
I don't know
education in history in civics can pick apart what AOC is saying. It's that bad. And she's giving these talks as a sitting politician, right, making decisions on behalf of people. This is exactly what our founders warned against, right? They're rolling in their graves, right? Yeah, I'm serious. This is what they warned against. Everything the AOC represents is what the founders were against. Seriously. Seriously. Like, I can only imagine what they would say about this. So,
Well, because I said it earlier, they hold nothing sacred. Even history is something to be twisted so that they can use it for how they want.
Shows you that, we got some work to do in this country, right? We really do. And, hey, this is democracy, though, right? This is what happens when you have more democracy.
No, this isn't democracy. This is free speech. This is what happens when you live in a state where you allow people to say anything they want. You're going to get stuff like this.
Democracy in the country.
If you have no filter for what is real and what is true, then anything could be true. What she's saying could be true. It could not be true.
And what the founders...
Do you just believe it because she said it? Because she's a person in authority? Because she says that she's on the right side of history? Or do you sit there and say, I don't know.
Design, right, on what they intended. So, hey, it is what it is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly,
I don't know. I don't know. I think this statement is a lie. I think that people would choose to be wealthier, and people, like, again, people are going to complain that there's an affordability crisis, but then you're going to say that they don't want to be billionaires. I don't know what this means. They want... Are you saying that they wouldn't want to own, like, a major company? Why would someone not want to be a billionaire? That would be like saying that someone didn't want food and they wanted to just starve for a prolonged period of time before they got food again. They purposefully wanted to deprive themselves, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but there would have to be a reason behind it. What is the reason behind this? Why do you think that people would purposefully want to starve themselves instead of eating their fill? I don't